Hello, I'm Bob Peters, host of Salute, and I have the pleasure of being at Eustis High School with a bunch of young people here who are filming this for us, a special episode of Salute. I want to say hello to everybody and thank you for inviting us. I'm very pleased to have with me some very good friends, and we're going to talk about the wall that's coming to Eustis, Vietnam, and try to give you a little history and see you can identify with the wall when it comes here. Remember, every name is a face. And speaking of that, I'd like to introduce my first guest. He's going to talk a little bit about his service, and then after that, each member will introduce themselves. So this is Roy Moore, and he is he's unique with the group. Guess where he went to high school? Go ahead, Roy.
Hello, I'm Roy J. Moore. I went to Eustis High School here. I'm a member of the Honor Guard, Color Guard at our local VFW here in Eustis, post 8087. I went into the service as a young 17-year-old. My parents signed for me right out of high school. Served with the 101st Airborne, did 2 tours of Vietnam, and I spent almost 9 years in.
Hi, I'm Fred Hall, Commander of your local VFW 8087. Roy and I both serve on the Honor Guard. Matter of fact, our unit's actually doing a service this morning down at the National Cemetery Devotional. Appreciate you inviting us in today, Bob. I went into service in 1969, just before I turned 19 years old. I was in there for 3 years, served in Vietnam, started out infantry, ended up in the artillery. I've got some other things to share with you here in a few minutes, but I just thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. And my name's Michael Pergola. I was 18 years old when I went over to Vietnam. I got there, I was supposed to be a supply clerk for helicopter parts, and within 2 weeks I was volunteered to be a door gunner on a medevac helicopter. We were known as dust off. Our job was to pick up the dead and the wounded.
Good morning, everybody. My name is George Wanberg. I was in the Marine Corps in Vietnam, and I went in. I was flunking. Matter of fact, I was flunking out of college in my junior year in 1966, and the Army was coming after me, the draft, and the Marine Corps had a special deal for 2 years, but it was strictly for Vietnam. So I enlisted and went overseas and came back. They wanted me to stay in and go to OCS school, but I was an old man. I was 20 years old at that time, so I decided no, and came back and went back to college. But I was in charge. I ended up being in charge of 6 major villages in Vietnam. I was part of the pacification program, and we were out in the villas every single day. And the VC actually had a price on our heads to kill us, and so it was interesting, but very special place. And I've been back 4 times since 2000. Thank you.
Morning, my name is Jack Johnson. I joined the Army in 1961. I wanted to make a career of it, so I enlisted for 6 years right out of high school. Wasn't very smart. I did 2 tours in Vietnam, got wounded in Cambodia. Actually, we weren't there, but I did get hurt there, and that ended my career. And I did spend my last 11 months in a hospital recuperating. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Hi, good morning. I'm Charles Richardson. They call me Santa. I'm not sure why. 50 years ago today, I was in my 3rd week of boot camp in San Diego. Made it to Vietnam in '67, served through '67 and '68. Stayed in the Navy for 9 years. I was in the Navy, but I flew reconnaissance missions up over North Vietnam and in Cambodia, your hometown. It's a great honor. Thank you, Bobby, for inviting us, and always a pleasure to sit with these gentlemen.
It's always my honor to sit with these gentlemen. By the way, Jack Johnson, you are the national or state?
State commander of the
State
Save
commander
American
of the
Veterans.
DAV. And Santa Claus does a lot to help out with PTSD. Commander of VFW, Commandant, and State Chaplain
For the Marine Corps League, yeah.
So we have quite the group here that, you know, and we always stay involved in veterans things because we are brothers. Personally, I'm Air Force, above all. And I was stationed in Utapao, Thailand with the B-52s. We had KC-135s. We had a U-2 and an SR-71 Blackbird, which could fly from the East Coast to the West Coast in an hour. We used to send up a lot of ball games over there. So I was sent over there twice TDY, once PCS, was permanent change of station. I volunteered for Vietnam and Thailand. They sent me back. I did 4 years. And I have been involved in the veterans community just about all my life, working with my brothers. Like I said in the beginning of this, we want you to realize when you look at the wall when it comes here, that you see those names. I want you to actually kind of see the faces. And I have a thing right here, which is it's just interesting. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but there are 16 chaplains on the wall. A chaplain was not allowed to carry a weapon. He is the religious leader for us. And there's 16 of them on the wall. There is also 8 women on that wall. Mm-hmm. So it reaches every person. I know, George, you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the, you do this quite a bit.
Yeah.
People on the wall. You want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about it?
Does anybody know what the ages of the youngest veteran that's on that wall? No, besides you guys. Out there in the audience, what do you think? The youngest veteran who died in Vietnam? He's 15 years old. And I think there were 3 16-year-olds as well. It's pretty sad. There's a number of father and sons that are on the wall as well.
There were 2 from Eustis.
Yeah, there's two from Eustis High School. I knew one of them when I went to school here. Kenneth Fisher, I did not know he graduated way before I did. He was 24. And Jerry Patrick, who was 19, went to Eustis High School here.
What I was surprised to find out, and I'm not from a large town, Columbus, Georgia. It's a large town now because they incorporated with the county and the city and all that, but back when I was growing up, it was not a very big town. It was like the 4th largest in Georgia. I did some of the research you're talking about, and what I was really surprised of is Columbus, Georgia. Most of you have never even heard of it. On that wall, there's 74 names from my hometown.
Oh, yeah.
74.
I can remember going to the wall, taking my son there probably 30 years ago in Washington, and I didn't think that I had any issues. And I got there and I saw all the things that are left behind by family members. And I just happened, and I was trying to find my friends on the wall, and you really have to know who they were. And my mind just erased a lot of things. And, but anyway, I saw 2 bottles of Budweiser beer with a little sign, "This Bud's for you," and I completely lost it. So I'm getting emotional now. I had to walk away. My son didn't know what to do. He was 13 years old, and I just waved him on. And that's happened almost every time with the traveling walls. I don't make it through that.
Charles, you want to tell them a little bit about the beads that you have there on your vest?
Well, the teal is the color that's been assigned for PTSD. It's also assigned to several other diseases out there too. So the black is depression that PTSD causes. Not just the person that has the PTSD, but also to their families. Higher divorce rates, higher alcoholism, higher all of the things that come with PTSD brings a lot of sadness with it into that person's life and into their family. The red is for the blood of our fallen. And someone mentioned it last period. At a rate of 22 a day, we have PTSD suicides from veterans that are passing. That's today, that's yesterday, it'll be tomorrow.
Yep.
And several years ago, I had someone ask me, what can we do about it? That's outrageous. 22 a day? That's outrageous. These are preventable deaths. What can we do about it? That question haunted me for several days. over the last couple of years, I've kind of developed a theory that PTSD goes untreated. So the idea behind the awareness beads, and I'm wearing them on my wrist. I've got a tattoo here with the same colors. This is so that people that recognize the colors, people that understand the situation, will feel free to come up to me and talk about it.
And I see the wall as a healing wall because I lost my best buddy, and I carried that for years. And I went to the wall and put my hand on his name. And I said, Mark, I can't carry this anymore. This baggage is going to kill me, so I'm going to leave it with you. And my wife was with me that day. And the next day, I got the strength to go to therapy and go to AA because I buried my PTSD at night. I worked a job for 29 and a half years. I didn't drink on the job, but when I got home, I drank myself to sleep because I didn't want this head to think. Because when you have a clear head, like Santa was saying, you start to think, and that's when you get in trouble. And I was very close to suicide, and I got to thank my wife for saving me, because she got me into therapy. We were friends at the time. And I reach out to all the veterans that I know, and if they need help, I'm there for them, because I know what it is. And I don't want them to live this. So you go to the wall, you go there to honor our dead, our brothers and our sisters. And I'd like to say something about our sisters that we usually forget, to give them the recognition, the nurses and the donor dollies. They were there, the nurses worked on us. They fixed your wound, you went back out. Sometimes, next time they see the fella, he's dead. They went through hell, these nurses. The donor dollies used to write letters, sit with the wounded veterans in the hospital, taking care of them. These women, in my eyes, are some of the bravest people. When I bought my patch, it said brothers forever. And I got so angry, and I says to Charlene, give me a red pen. And I put brothers and sisters, because they're forgotten. And if you go to the museum, you'll see some stories about the nurses.
But I just want to encourage each and every one of you, when you go to the wall, you'll see a Vietnam vet. You know, spot them. Go up and thank them. Just go up there, or just put your arm on them a little bit, because they might be up at the wall and down on their knees, and just stand behind them.
And as you look at these Vietnam veterans today, I can tell you a stat that it's the fastest dying group of any war veteran. Only one-third of all veterans who served in Vietnam are alive today. And that's mainly because of a lot of early losses, such as you see on the wall, but
Agent
also
Orange.
the Agent Orange that we're affected with today.
We're losing over 400 a month. Vietnam vets are dying.
And I think the one common thread we all have here is, we want young people to realize now, okay, we went through some stuff, but we are here to support our active
Absolutely.
military,
Absolutely.
our young people who are
Absolutely.
serving in the service,
You got it.
because God bless them. We don't want them to be treated the way we were treated. We want them to be treated as the heroes that they are.
Absolutely.
I met one guy who, when I was in Tavares, we had the trains, planes, and barbecue. One of the special forces guys. He has been over 11 times. Can you imagine? I can't phantom that. I mean, it's tremendous what the young people are doing today, but yeah, we have a brotherhood here. Maybe we should go to some questions, because I see a guy looking like he wants to ask me a question.
Well, I have a question for all of you guys. Were any of you drafted to Vietnam, or did you go as choice?
Drafted.
Myself, I enlisted for 3 years and re-enlisted for another 6.
You know, I know in the Marine Corps, going to Parris Island, if the DI found, the drill instructor found out that you were drafted, or they got you in a different way other than enlisting, you didn't fare very well. We didn't fare very well no matter what. but they kind of made sure that they were in harm's way. That's not what it was about.
The Department of Defense, I think it was, had decided around 1968 to make it a little more fair, if they could, as far as who was getting drafted. So they came out with this lottery system, and they put all the names in a box or a bowl or something. And it was like 1 through 365, January 1st through December 31st. And whatever order, that number they pulled out of there, your birthday, well, I grew up with a guy from like age 5 all the way up through high school and the whole bit. We had initially said, as growing up, because most of our parents had been in the service, and our town was outside Fort Benning, one of the largest Army bases on the planet. We assumed we were going to join the service, probably join the Navy and go see the world, come back and buy a red Corvette and ride up and down Route 66. That was the plan. Well, that night, when they decided to come out with the lottery draft, as far as the birthdays, my number was the 5th one out of the bowl. They were going to be calling me within a couple of weeks. I mean, his number was like 308. So he decided to do something different. He ended up being a law enforcement officer, retired. And I actually went down and enlisted then, so I put in an extra year, because the draft was 2 years in the Army, I think. Correct me. And if you enlisted, it was 3. But at least when I went and enlisted, I actually got to pick what MOS I thought I wanted to be in. So that's why I did it. I enlisted.
Thank
It's
you very
funny,
much.
when I got drafted, they sent me an envelope with 1 token to take the train down to the city to get my shots and everything, and that was it, and I was on my way. And I said to myself, 1 token, that don't look good. But thank God we're here today and we're talking, so.
Thank you for all your service, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Anybody else?
I would hope, Bob, that we didn't discourage anybody from joining the military, because it's a great opportunity.
You know, you grow in the military, and it's such an honor to represent your country, and you know, and you do meet some great people like these guys here that I'm all with, you know.
I just wanted to ask, what are some ways that the average person become more involved within the veteran community and help, just help out in any way they can?
You know, that's a good question. You know, I try to tell people, if your parents, your uncles, or whatever, they served in the military, there's great organizations like the DAV, the VFW, the American Legion, AMVETS. If they get involved, or even if they're a son of a veteran or a daughter of a veteran, they can get involved. Everybody thinks when they go by there, that's all we do is go in and have a couple of beers. You know, if we got a canteen. Some places don't even have a canteen. But we do a lot collecting stuff for the homeless. We do a lot to send stuff over to the troops. We do a lot to support all kinds of veterans things. I did a show with a kid named Cody Hughes, who rode a bicycle all the way from Utah to Leesburg in honor of his brother, who was a Marine, who died, and he did the money. He wanted to raise money for the Gary Sinise Foundation, which is a fantastic group.
It's incredible.
You can get involved in a lot of things.
You can volunteer there.
Volunteer there, and there's a great thing coming up. I probably shouldn't mention it because I don't know when this is going to air, but the sword,
The
Spartan sword event is going to be down in
Spartan event.
Yeah, it's going to be down in by the villages. But there's a lot of events going on and going around that you can make a difference. You know, it's volunteering, like Fred says, you know.
Or you can get in contact. You can find out through, I'm trying to think how you do this, but I know when I was in Vietnam, there was a New York City police squadron that supported me the whole time. I got boxes of cookies and I got letters. It was amazing, and they adopted me. And I don't know where they got my name from, but the National Guard units that are deployed, you can find out from them if you could correspond with one of their people and just be there for him or her.
Operation Shoebox does that.
Yeah, so-
Some of the villages has
Yeah.
a huge
Yeah,
operation.
so there's ways of doing it. Thank you.
There's an organization that I run with, it's called the Patriot Guard Riders.
Yeah.
You may never have heard of them, but you might have seen us. If you ever see a line of motorcycles with flags on them
Yeah.
and they're escorting a funeral, that's probably Patriot Guard. And we do military funerals, most of them out at Bushnell National Cemetery, which is close. Anybody can go. You don't have to have a motorcycle. You don't have to be a vet. You don't have to have any affiliation other than respect for our flag and our country and our military. And what we do sometimes is the most rewarding thing that I've ever found. There was one mission that we did last week. This woman went out to Bushnell. She was burying her husband. She was alone. I could make it more dramatic and say it was raining, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But she was out there by herself, and somebody had told her about the Patriot Guard, so we were there. We performed the entire military honors. Folded the flag, played taps, did the hand salutes, everything. But basically we stand in a line around the commitment area and hold a flag and render honors and support to the families.
Just want to make one more comment about the Patriot Guard. They will be escorting the wall
You bet.
when it comes to Eustis. And that organization started because when soldiers were getting killed, and there was protesters that would harass the family. Well, the Patriot Guard lines up in between them.
When you go to see the replica of the wall, and I hope all of you go to see it, you'll see it looks kind of like a wedge, narrow at the beginning, narrow towards the end, and it grows chronologically as the middle of the war most of the people were taken. The one in Washington, D.C., the real Vietnam War Memorial, consists of 3 elements. The wall is the primary one. There's also a statue off to the side for the nurses, the women that served. 3 nurses and a wounded soldier are depicted on this. And the third element is something they call the 3 servicemen, which I've heard it called the 3 soldiers too. To me, it's the 3 brothers. They're 3 different soldiers. One is in kind of Marine Corps issue garb, Army. A couple of different weapons are displayed that were in use during the day. One of them is a Afro-American. One is a European American. One is a Latino American. These are the 3 ethnic groups that were in country doing the work. They're looking down onto the wall, and something that's a major difference between the replica and the wall in Washington, D.C. The replica will be a wall. You can look at the ground and up it goes. It's a wall. The wall in Vietnam is actually goes down. It's underground. There's a gash that they cut into the earth. And to me, it's symbolic of the rending of our society, in a sense. The tearing of the American fabric over the Vietnam War. And these people are in there as a result of that conflict. Very poignant part for me. The 3 brothers are looking down on this, and they've added a plaque. It's 3 foot by 2 foot marble to the 3 brothers. And the plaque is there to commemorate the soldiers and airmen and sailors that we've lost since Vietnam, but because of Vietnam. Agent Orange, PTSD, suicide. To me, that plaque is one of the things that I want to go and maybe take a rubbing off of. There's not a lot of names listed. It's just there to recognize the fact that some gave all gave some, and some are still giving, even today. But you have to kind of understand, the guys that were in there fighting, the troops, we were not there politically. We were there patriotically. there was a poem. It's a short one. And it's what I think of when I think of the guys on the wall. If you are able, save for them a place inside of you, and save one backward glance when you are leaving for the places they can no longer go. Be not ashamed to say you love them, though you may or may not have always. Take what they have taught you with their dying and keep it with your own. And in that time, when men decide and feel safe to call the war insane, take one moment to embrace those gentle heroes you left behind. This was written by Major Michael Davis O'Donnell, January 1st, 1970, in Dak To, Vietnam. He was listed as killed in action February 7th, 1978. I think prior to that he was missing in action. They finally recovered him though.
Say one more thing about the wall. There's something I'd really would like you to see is the POW MIA ceremony that ROTC is putting up. They're going to set a table for the missing in action
Missing man.
and the missing man, and they'll have a sign explaining why the table is set the way it is. It's really interesting, and I think that's something that you guys should see.
And the wall will be there April 27th.
April 27th.
To May 1st.
To May 1st.
And they're looking for volunteers. It's going to be not very, it's right downtown Eustis.
Yeah,
Where the Waterman
there's
House
something
is.
you can volunteer, to help out down
We
there.
need help for that too.
And
And think of that.
it's open 24 hours a day, right? Usually they are. I've done about 4 of these walls at different places, but it's open 24 hours a day because a lot of times there are guys who are veterans, Vietnam veterans, who don't want to be around other
right.
people. They'll go in the middle of the night, to pay their respects, so. But we're really running out of time. I really enjoyed this. I'm sure my friends here did. We want to thank you for listening. We want to thank the city of Eustis for bringing in the wall. And it's time to say goodbye, so I wish you guys would join me. To all our veterans out there, our active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time.
There'll be autographs available.